To better understand the goals of submission grappling, we've identified 7 specific phases from the perspective of positive progression. Regardless of whether it occurs on the feet, passing, or during the open guard, there is a battle for control of the ends of the limbs, which is usually the hands, but can also be the feet when passing guard. The second phase is the establishment of dynamic control. When engaged in a standing battle, wrestlers refer to controls as types of ties, like the collar tie or the inside tie. A passer, meanwhile, might refer to them as hubs, with examples like headquarters or the leg drag position. And as most already know, we have various guards for bottom players. The third phase is creating a break in alignment by affecting your opponent's posture, base, and the structure of their limbs. This is often some form of off-balancing of your opponent, or what the Japanese refer to as kazushi, when we are discussing takedowns or sweeps from the guard. It can also involve the redirection of the limbs to create an advantageous angle of attack. The fourth phase involves the actual finish of the initial attack in the form of a takedown, a sweep, or a pass, which often results in a score under points rule sets. Ideally, this takes you into the fifth phase, which is an immobilizing pin. Unlike in other grappling sports, the shoulders touching the mat for a stable amount of time is not considered an ultimate pin for the win. In submission grappling, there are several upper body pins and arguably lower body ones as well. These include the standard side control and the top mount, including classic armbar style setups, popularly known as S-mount, and the spider web position. Other top mounts include the technical, or what we sometimes call the fetal mount, which can set up multiple attacks, including arguably the best pin available, which is the back mount. If your opponent bridges onto you and you don't improve your angle of attack, technically you can be pinned with your own back mount. Truth is, the majority of submissions from the back occur when the opponent no longer has effective bridging ability, including what could be the ultimate pin, which we call back splat. In terms of the lower body, we have both open and closed circuit type pins, such as single leg X or standard ashigarami. We also have outside ashigarami, or what we call outside X, and a position with several distinct nuances that go by various names like 411, cross ashigarami, the leg knot, the game over, and the saddle. We are ignoring the term honey hole. Some pins are better than others, and a simple rule of thumb we tell our students is that putting someone in the fetal position, whether by pinning the upper or lower body, is ideal to set up multiple options to submit your opponent. Other forms of control that aren't necessarily pins could be described as staging zones. These are usually excellent forms of control that can help take us to a more secure pin or occasionally set up flash submissions. These include guillotine or chin strap control, Kimura control, knee ride, the truck, double trouble, 50-50, and what we'll just call reverse half mount for now, but is most known as the knee bar setup position, rear ashigarami, and yes, even the Russian cowboy. In the sixth phase, we look to break alignment even further by isolating a limb or the neck or both. Certain pins can be further classified into killing zones. Based on statistics at ADCC, which is arguably the pinnacle submission grappling tournament in the world, and within the most skilled weight classes, Class A kill zones would be a straitjacket or Kimura back control and the 411. Lately, however, we've been noticing the best leg lockers finishing from the 411 and the 80-20, which is a progression from the 50-50 from a top position, and believe that perhaps these can be classified as true top leg mounts. Other pins could be classified into B and perhaps even C class zones, but a lot of that has to do with personal preferences and specialization. The final phase of submission grappling are the actual submissions. Once in a kill zone, there are the subtleties to finishing the submissions themselves, and we can often break this down into 2 parts. 1, the digging or prying mechanics to isolate the limb or neck, and then the actual breaking and choking mechanics themselves. Submission grappling is the only combat sport where your opponent chooses to quit. Striking sports separate consciousness of their opponents against their will, and only in pure sub-grappling does someone actually give up by choice. To me, that's just demoralizing fun.